Camp Hill is primarily an endeavour to try and meet the special needs of people who don't find it easy to find their place in the world. So there's a residential aspect, a home where people can be, and a work environment that can help people find their way in a meaningful work life, and education and culture is a part of Camp Hill as well. So here in Ballytobin itself, we have 27 acres. We have altogether 85 people living here. So we have a small farm, extensive garden. We have schools for children, and we have altogether 6 households and a large hall for our culture activity. And we all live and work here as volunteers and meet each other's needs. It's very much together with the people in care, not so much providing a service, but rather we're here together as a community, living our lives out. And we try and fulfill each other's needs as best we can, with lots of help from neighbours and friends.
Every year, animals on Irish farms produce millions of tonnes of waste. Not only does spreading it on the land cause environmental problems, it also contributes hugely to Ireland's greenhouse gas emissions. But what if those same gases could be used to benefit the environment?
We had a practical need of heat. We needed a lot of heat. We built a substantial hall for the community and for the neighbourhood, and that has a huge heat requirement. So we wanted to find a way to meet that need. And also we wanted to develop further projects to provide work opportunities for our people. And so these things came together very well with a biogas plant. Well, the principle of it is it's an anaerobic process, so there's no oxygen in the process. And you're creating a situation where you have a container and you're bringing in organic matter. You have no oxygen, and you're bringing that to a temperature of, say, 35 to 38 degrees. And those conditions are very conducive to certain ranges of bacteria proliferating, and they digest the organic matter. And in the process, a methane gas is given off, and you capture that gas, and that then has an energy value. And in the process, organic matter is broken down, and you return the broken down matter to the farmer. If it's slurry that you have as your organic material going in, that returned to the farmer, and it's a higher grade material from the farmer's point of view that's returned to him. So there is a treatment of slurry, utilising the maximum of energy from the slurry, and you have the gas, and then returning the slurry to the farmer. Any organic matter can go into the system. So slurry is a very good material because it is a very neutral, it's a buffer material, it's very reliable. The bacteria is in the slurry, and that's your beginning culture of bacteria, so to speak, and that's what you then proliferate. But you can basically take any organic food matter into the system. So we also take in food waste material from the food industry. And we have an arrangement with waste management companies to deliver to the plant different food wastes. You have to monitor how you're feeding the digesters in terms of volume and temperature. You have to monitor the temperature throughout the process, and you have to be aware of what food stock you're putting in. I mean, slurry is not a worry, but if you're taking in different food waste material, you have to make sure you have a good analysis of that, and that things like the pH isn't too acidic. Because that's an inhibitor to the process, and there could be other elements. And then from the agricultural point of view, you don't want heavy metals going into the system through food waste. So you have to be monitoring what's going into your digester carefully from all the points of view.
A biogas plant needs a regular supply of slurry to feed the digester. Billy Heffernan is one of 3 local farmers who supply Camp Hill with slurry in exchange for the treated liquid, which he can then spread on his land.
A few years ago I had read up a good bit about it, and Patrick Lydon from Camp Hill had approached me then a couple of years after, and I jumped at the idea. I thought the idea was very good. The slurry going away and getting something out of it by the gas, and the slurry coming back here, I was losing nothing. There's no dangers involved in it, and when you're not agitating, you're not creating a problem of raising gases and doing animals or humans any harm. Like the digestate that comes back, when I spread it on the ground, very little smell of it. Plus it's in very liquid form. It barely covers the grass, and it runs off the grass down into the ground, and the nutrients in it are readily available for the plants to uptake. The light also is able to get into the grass more when it isn't covered with raw slurry. So grass does grow that little bit better with it. You haven't got this sour grass like you'd have with other slurry.
It's estimated that one tanker of slurry can generate enough electricity to run 3 domestic heaters for a week. And it's this potential for energy that the Camphill community are hoping will provide for their future heating needs.
We're at 20% of our capacity, and the gas that's produced from the plant is feeding 2 gas burners. And those 2 gas burners are heating maybe 40% of our heat requirement in the community at the moment. So it's heating one house, the classroom block and our hall at present. When we're at full capacity, we hope to be doing a throughput of 5,000 tonnes of organic matter in the plant, and then we hope to have a combined heat and power generator, which would produce enough heat for the community and electricity for the community, and have a surplus to sell to the grid.
This is one of just 4 biogas plants on Irish farms today. While the initial capital costs and management of the system can seem prohibitive, the prospect of carbon taxes means that there should be greater commercial scope for developing bioenergy.
Under the Kyoto Agreement, we are required to limit our methane emissions by the year 2010, which is not too far away. So again, large-scale adoption of a system like this would have a role to play in reducing greenhouse gas emissions in this country.
It's not a complicated technology, but because it's foreign to our customary technologies, it can be difficult from that point of view. But it's in Germany and in Denmark, it's a very well developed technology, and there are biogas construction companies that will build your plant for you.
In Germany and Denmark, where these are very common, they have huge, very high government grant aid in the region of 30 to 40%. They also have a good price for green electricity, and they also have the availability of low interest loans for development like this. So I suppose really the capital set up and the cost of setting up is I think the biggest barrier probably in this country. I think initiatives have to come from the Department of Agriculture, the Department of the Environment and the Department of Finance to get these in place.